محمد وآل محمد صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. آمنت بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, Brother Ali, come on up for Hadith Qissa. Salawat Bro Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the All-Merciful, the All-Compassionate. Fatima Zahra, the daughter of the Prophet, peace be upon them, is to have thus related an event. My father, the Prophet of Allah, came to my house one day and said to me, "Peace be upon you, Fatima." I replied, "And upon you be peace." Then he said, "I feel weakness in my body." I said, "Allah protects you from weakness, father." He said, "Fatima, please bring the Yemeni cloak and cover me with it." So I brought the Yemeni cloak and covered him with it. Then I looked at him and saw that his face was shining like a full moon with its glory and splendor. After a while, my son Hassan came in and said, "Peace be upon you, mother." I replied, "And upon you be peace, O light of my eyes and the delight of my heart." He then said, "Mother, I smell a fragrance so sweet and so pure as that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "Yes, your grandfather is lying underneath the cloak." Hassan went near the cloak and said, "Peace be upon you, my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you peace, my son and the master of my fountain Kauthar. You were given the permission to enter." So Hassan entered the cloak with him. After a while, my son Husayn came in and said, "Peace be upon you, mother." I replied, "And upon you peace, O light of my eyes and the delight of my heart." And he then said, "Mother, I smell a sweet fragrance like that of my grandfather, the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "Yes, your grandfather and your brother are lying underneath the cloak." Husayn stepped toward the cloak and said, "Peace be upon you, my grandfather, the chosen of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you peace, my son and the interceder of my followers. You are given the permission to enter." So Husayn entered the cloak with them. After a while, Abu Hassan, Ali ibn Abi Talib, came in and said, "Peace be upon you, O daughter of the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "And upon you peace, O father of Hassan and the commander of the faithful." He then said, "Fatima, I smell a sweet fragrance like that of my brother, my cousin, the Prophet of Allah." I replied, "Yes, he is underneath the cloak with your two sons." So Ali went near the cloak and said, "Peace be upon you, Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you peace, my brother, my legatee, my successor, and my standard bearer. You are given the permission to enter." So Ali entered the cloak with them. Then I stepped forward and said, "Peace be upon you, my father, O Prophet of Allah. May I enter the cloak with you?" He replied, "And upon you peace, my daughter, O part of myself. You are given the permission to enter." So I entered the cloak with them. Getting together underneath the cloak of my father, the Prophet of Allah, held to the two ends of the cloak and raised his right hand towards the heavens and prayed, "O Allah, these are the people of my household, Ahlul Bayt. They are my confidants and my supporters. Their flesh is my flesh, and their blood is my blood. Whoever hurts them hurts me too. Whoever displeases them displeased me too. I am at war with those at war with them. I am at peace with those at peace with them. I am the enemy of their enemies, and I am the friend of their friends. They are from me, and I am from them. O Allah, bestow your blessings, benevolence, forgiveness, and your pleasure upon me and upon them, and remove impurity from them and keep them thoroughly pure." Then the Lord Almighty Allah said, O my angels, O residents of my heavens, verily I have not created the erected sky, the stretched earth, the illuminated moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowing seas, and the sailing ships, but for the love of these five lying underneath the cloak. Gabriel, the trusted angel, asked, Who are under the cloak? The Almighty answered, They are the household of the Prophet and the assets of prophethood. They are Fatima, her father, her husband, and her two sons. Gabriel said, O Lord, may I fly to earth to be the sixth of them? Allah replied, Yes, you are given the permission. Gabriel, the trusted, landed near them and said, Peace be upon you, O Prophet of Allah. The All-Highest conveys his peace on you and his greetings, and says, By my honor and glory, O angels, O residents of my heavens, verily I have not created the erected sky, the stretched earth, the illuminated moon, the bright sun, the rotating planets, the flowing seas, and the sailing ships, but for your sake and love. God has given me permission to enter the cloak with you. May I join with you, O Prophet of Allah? The Prophet replied, And peace be upon you, O trusted bearer of Allah's revelations. You are granted the permission to enter. So Gabriel entered the cloak with us and said to my father, Allah sends his revelations to you. Verily Allah's desire is to remove blemish from you, O people of the household Ahlul Bayt, and purify you with the perfect purification. Then Ali said to my father, O Prophet of Allah, tell me, what significance has Allah given for getting together underneath his cloak? The Prophet replied, By him who rightfully appointed me a prophet and chose me a messenger for the salvation of mankind. Whenever and wherever an assembly of our followers mention this event, Allah will bestow on them his blessings and mercy. Angels will encircle them, asking Allah the remission of their sins until the assembly dispersed. So Ali said, Verily by the Lord of the Kaaba, we and our followers are the winners. Then my father replied, By him who rightfully appointed me a prophet and chose me a messenger for the salvation of mankind. Whenever and wherever an assembly of our followers and friends mention this event, there shall remain none grieved, but Allah will remove his grief. There shall remain none distressed, but Allah will dispel his distress. There shall remain none wish seeker, but Allah will grant his wish. Ali said happily, Verily by the Lord of the Kaaba, we and our followers are the winner and the blessed in this world and the next.
Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah. Good job, Ali. Salawat bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'd like to request Brother Muhammad to do a short salam for us. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Salawat. O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? Did you weep tears of blood? Were you struck with grief when the heart of Rasul was crushed like a leaf? Did you weep tears of blood? Were you struck with grief when the heart of Rasul was struck with grief? When the king of martyrs sacrificed all, as Muhammad, Ali, and Zahra foretold, as Muhammad, Ali, and Zahra foretold. O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? Did you see Akbar fight to the death? So brave on the field till his last breath. Did you see Akbar fight to the death? So brave on the field till his last breath. Did you see an old father lift his son, devastated, broken, all alone? Devastated, broken, all alone. O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? Did you see a young boy, just 13 years old, fight brave for Islam, so strong and bold? Did you see a young boy, just 13 years old, fight brave for Islam, so strong and bold? Did you see Farwa pray for her son? Did you see how he fell and was trampled on? Did you see how he fell and was trampled on? O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? Did you see two boys fight side by side, filling Zainab's heart with love and pride? Did you see two boys fight side by side, filling Zainab's heart with love and pride? Did you see her sons in Karbala give their lives for Abdullah? Give their lives for Abdullah. O moon of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? O moon of of Muharram, what did you see? Did you see what befell Husayn ibn Ali? Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Thank you, Brother Muhammad. Kindly like to request all of you to please kindly move forward as we have proper Majlis etiquette before we call the alim. Inshallah, right after the Majlis, we'll have the Amaal at approximately 12:30, so please kindly participate. After that, we'll have Zohar Sar Salat, and then also the Urdu Majlis will immediately follow Zohar Sar Salat, inshallah. And tonight, also after Maghrib and Isha Salat, there will be an English Majlis as normally scheduled. After the Maghrib and Isha Salat, inshallah, tonight for that. And then, inshallah, I would like to request now, Maulana, to take the members. Salawat par Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
رحم الله من يقرأ سورة الفاتحة. As it is the day of Arbaeen, the day of Ziyara, let's once more remember all of our marhumeen wherever they may be buried and recite one more Surah Fatiha li-arwah al-mu'mineen wal-mu'minat. Bismillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي الحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعنة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. Your second salawat for love of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And your loudest salawat as condolences to the master of our time, Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa This verse of the Quran we're beginning our discussion with comes from Surah Al-Shu'ara, the final verse of this surah, verse number 227, in a part of which Allah makes the statement, soon the oppressors shall know what a turning they have taken to a final turning place. This verse often you'll hear recited at the end of a majlis, or you'll hear recited after the mention against the oppression, against the Ahlul Bayt, which is an indication to show and say that those who perform these acts of oppression, these abuses, soon that they would find out and know what it was that they had actually earned with those actions. That they thought that they earned something, but Allah shall soon show them, أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ, to what have they turned back to and what have they received for what they performed. The day of Arbaeen is that day of reminder for us as well too, that there was that mal'oon who thought he had earned a victory over Ahlul Bayt. He thought that he had taken his revenge for the actions of the Ahlul Bayt, where he would say in his court that this day in exchange for the day of Badr, that in Badr it was my forefathers who were slain by the hands of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and today I have taken my revenge for that day. And today you see the actual of what he earned, that his name is forgotten, his name is accursed, his name is abused, No mother is pleased to name her child by his name. And yet in the world, the mention of Husayn only increases. The mention of Aba Abdullah, the love for Husayn ibn Ali, is the one that is victorious. Where they count that of the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, over 21 million, close to 22 million, are present by the grave of Aba Abdullah today, calling out, Labbayka ya Husayn. Imagine then that the one who thought and looked at the earthly desires and what he thought that he had earned in this earth and in this world, Allah truly shows him in this world what it is that he has established, what it is that has been established against him, and what it is that is the true reality, and this is before he has suffered the consequences of the Day of Judgment. The Day of Arbaeen is a day of returning back to the Ahlul Bayt and visitation upon the mazloom of the Ahlul Bayt, the oppressed of the Ahlul Bayt. The status of Imam Hussein, the commemoration of Imam Hussein, is one of the signatures of the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, that they are never separate from it. It was something desired by the Ahlul Bayt. When, for example, Sayyida Zahra is given the information of the shahadat of her son, she asks the question, "Oh Rasulullah, will you be with him?" Rasulullah says, "I will not be with him." "Will Ali be with him?" Ali will not be with him. "Will my son Hassan be his companion in this difficult affair?" Hassan will not be present. "Ya Rasulullah, will I have permission to be with my Husayn?" "No, Ya Zahra, you too will be separated. Your son will be ghareeb, a stranger in a foreign land." Sayyida Zahra began to weep upon this. To comfort her, Rasulullah explained, and he says that, "Oh Zahra, Allah will create a nation that will love your Husayn and will never be separated from them." Today that we leave our houses, we gather, we mention this day, we mention the masa'ib of Ahlul Bayt, is the dua of Zahra that is fulfilled here. That mother in the love of her son, who could not imagine that her son should be left alone. Remember, the visitation of the graves was something Sayyida Zahra herself partook in. Sayyida Shuhada Hamza, his grave was visited by Sayyida Zahra regularly. Every week she would go. So she asked, "Who will love my Husayn? Who will be with my Husayn?" Allah created a nation of those who love him dearly. When we talk about the Ziyarat of Arbaeen, one of the statements that's often made is that the first to visit Ziyarat, to do the Ziyarat of Aba Abdullah, was this Jabir ibn Abdullah. The Ziyarat of Arbaeen, its authenticity, there is no doubt, is narrated by Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, who was a companion of the Prophet, who lived to the door of our fifth Imam, who gave us hadith-e-kisa, who was one of the authentic narrators of the truths and realities of imamat, wilayat, and love of Ahlul Bayt. Very true. However, to say that he's the first one to visit the grave of Imam Hussein, we cannot agree with that. But what we can say is that the authentic narration of what happens on the day of Arbaeen comes to us from Jabir. From the discussions about who actually was the first to visit the grave of Imam Hussein, the first one to believe that he is the one who is to be avenged, was a person by the name of Ubaidullah ibn Hur al-Jawfi. Ubaidullah ibn Hur al-Jawfi has a very interesting history with the Ahlul Bayt, and his history and his story is something of a lesson and teaching for us. Sayyid Sabah Shubbar, Hafidhullah, one of our authentic scholars of our time, narrates the tarikh of Ubaidullah ibn Hur, which is authenticated through the books of history. Ubaidullah ibn Hur al-Jawfi, who has no relationship to Hur Yazid al-Riyahi. This is a different person. Ubaidullah ibn Hur is a different person. There's no connection between the two. Ubaidullah ibn Hur was a valiant warrior of his time and was one of the residents of Kufa, even in the time of Imam Ali and prior to that. Historically, he was someone who supported the third Khalifa, and after he was killed, he went and came into the support of Ahlul Bayt and Amir al-Mu'mineen. He actually participated in the Battle of Siffin under the banner of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But the Battle of Siffin was not a short battle. It was a very long, hard, arduous battle fought over months. And during the entirety of this battle, Mal'un Muawiyah had the practice of bribing the soldiers of Imam Ali away from him. And eventually at one point in time, Ubaidullah ibn Hur gets tired of fighting for Imam Ali. And he accepts a bribe from Muawiyah. And in the middle of the night during the Battle of Siffin, when the fighting would stop, one night, Ubaidullah ibn Hur went out of his tent and he went to the side of Muawiyah and left. The next morning, when the soldiers were gathering for Imam Ali, they questioned, what happened to Ubaidullah? Where is he? No one knew. When they returned back to Kufa after a period of fighting during one of the breaks in the Battle of Siffin, they came back to the city of Kufa, and the wife of this Ubaidullah comes forward and she says, where's my husband? Where's Ubaidullah? The soldiers go, we don't know. Maybe he died. He probably died. There were many who died. One of the most bloodiest wars in the history of Islam is the Battle of Siffin. And mumkin mat, probably died. Listening to this, the wife of Ubaidullah observed her iddah of a widow, believed him to be dead, and went and got married again. After the Battle of Siffin, when Ubaidullah felt it was safe to come back and secretly come back into Kufa, after some time he came back to the city of Kufa, and in the middle of the night went back to his house and found his house completely empty. He says, where's my wife? He has no idea what happened to her. Knocks on the neighbor's door. Says, what happened to my wife? They're astounded. They're like, you were dead. He says, no, I'm alive. He said, well, your wife, she got remarried. She married someone from such and such Kabila on such and such side. Go. Ubaidullah ibn Hur goes to the other side of Kufa, knocks on a door. The wife opens the door. She's shocked. She's seen a ghost. Ubaidullah says, come home. She says, what home? You're not my husband anymore. I've gotten married here. He says, what second marriage? You're still married to me. I'm alive. Come home. She says, I can't. They come to the decision in the middle of the night that tomorrow we'll go to Ali ibn Abi Talib and ask him for justice. The next day comes, Ubaidullah, his wife, her new husband, they all go to the court in Kufa in front of Amir al-Mu'mineen and present their case. Ubaidullah says, I was away from home. My wife, she thought I was dead. She went and she married this one. I'm telling her to come home. She's refusing, saying she has a new husband. What's the reality? They describe and say that Ubaidullah, in this instance, Imam Ali first begins to admonish him. Ubaidullah, you did khiyana, you shouldn't have. Why did you do this action? Ubaidullah, in the middle of getting reprimanded by Amir al-Mu'mineen, makes a statement. He says, oh, Ali ibn Abi Talib, will my mistake prevent me from receiving justice from you? Meaning that even the one who has committed treachery against Ali ibn Abi Talib knew enough of the status of the justice of Ali ibn Abi Talib that he knew that if he's asking for justice, that the only one who can give it is Ali ibn Abi Talib. So Amir al-Mu'mineen says, no, your treachery will not prevent justice. He says, the truth is that second nikah is invalid. The first nikah stands, your wife goes home with you. So Ubaidullah takes his wife and he returns back to his home. This same Ubaidullah is the one who, when Imam Hussein reaches the land of Karbala, he asks, I see a tent in the distance, and he goes to this tent to invite them to support Imam Hussein in his cause. And when he goes to this tent, he finds this Ubaidullah ibn Hur sitting in this tent. Ubaidullah describes, when Husayn ibn Ali came to see me, he came to see me surrounded with children. Imam Hussein loved children so much, and children loved Imam Hussein so much that wherever Imam Hussein went, the children would follow him in large numbers. Such that when Imam left his tent in Karbala and went to the tent of Ubaidullah, all of the children came with him in such a way that Ubaidullah mentions, I saw Husayn ibn Ali come to me surrounded with children. Imam Hussein comes to the tent of this Ubaidullah and says, oh Ubaidullah, you are a supporter of my father, but you committed treachery against him. I'm now inviting you to support me and warning you again against the committing of treachery. Stay with me and support me now the way you should have supported my father in his battle. Ubaidullah, who was a resident of Kufa, and he's now in the Sahara, in the deserts, in the open lands, says, "Oh Husayn ibn Ali, you know I'm a resident of Kufa. I'm actually here in the middle of the desert because when I heard you were coming to Kufa, I wanted nothing to do with your fight with Banu Umayyah. So I came here to isolate myself, and sure enough, in my interest in isolating myself, I now find you sitting in my tent." Ubaidullah says, "I have no desire or interest in partaking in your fight, but I will offer you some advice and some service." He says, "My advice to you is do not fight with the Banu Umayyah, let them be. And my service to you, my horse is a very fast horse. Take my horse and run away from here. I will take responsibility for your Ahl Haram, and I will return them to Medina. Go and escape from here and do not get caught in this battle with the Banu Umayyah." Imam Hussein replies to him and he says, "Oh Ubaidullah, as for your advice, it is not necessary. And as for your horse, it is not something we desire. Rather, let me advise you, O Ubaidullah. If you choose not to partake in my support, then leave this place to such a location that you cannot hear my call when I ask for assistance." Ubaidullah ibn Hur al-Jawfi, listening to this command, and he was not the only one, but this command is very clear that the Imam says that the one who can hear my call for assistance and doesn't offer us assistance will be the one who is condemned with those who are our enemies. So, Ya Ubaidullah, leave from here. Do not stay here if it is your desire not to fight for us. Sure enough, Ubaidullah ibn Hur leaves. He leaves the field of Karbala and goes far away. But when the event of Ashura takes place, Ubaidullah realizes his mistake. And the first one to come back to the grave of Imam Hussein after his grave is made is this Ubaidullah and his regret that I did not come to help Husayn ibn Ali. It's narrated to say the first one who planted a spear and a flag over the grave of Imam Hussein, the first one to recite poetry over the Shahadat of Abu Abdullah, was this Ubaidullah ibn Hur, who regretted his lack of support of Imam Hussein, who regretted his lack of following the example of the Ahlul Bayt and running away in his self-interest. This regret of Ubaidullah, if you read his tarikh, continues with him until the Ta'ibin and until Mukhtar and Ibrahim ibn Malik Ashtar gathered together and raised an army to avenge the killing of Imam Hussein. This Ubaidullah joins them, and his being a fierce warrior and known for his battle tactics and strategy was one of the leaders in the army of Mukhtar and Ibrahim ibn Malik Ashtar. Until again his self-interest took heart, and instead of realizing the greatness of what the example was that they were trying to achieve by killing the killers of Imam Hussein, this Ubaidullah, in his greed for riches, said to Ibrahim ibn Malik Ashtar, "You split the rewards and the war booty amongst yourself, but you don't give me an equal share." And eventually he broke from Ibrahim ibn Malik Ashtar as well too, and then denied the support for fighting for Imam Hussein. And eventually his own soldiers drowned him in the Furat and killed him. The history of this individual, his knowing and having ma'rifah of Ahlul Bayt, yet refusing to be a true and honest supporter of Ahlul Bayt, was not for lack of knowing their status, but was the fact that his own self-interest preceded the interest and love of Ahlul Bayt. One of the greatest differences between this man, Ubaidullah ibn Hur, whose mention is lost in the pages of history, and the names, for example, of Hur ibn Yazid, Habib ibn Madahir, Muslim ibn Awsaja, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, is because they were those people who, when they were approached with the opportunity of supporting Islam and the children of Ahlul Bayt, preferred the Ahlul Bayt over themselves. And Ubaidullah was one who preferred himself over anyone else. Today we gather and we sacrifice from our time and our energy to ensure that our name is attached to the names of Ahlul Bayt. But be careful, that when you gather here, you correct your qibla. That my imam is my priority. That the command of my imam is what I will follow. In our lifetime, inshallah, there's a time when the remainder of Rasulullah, Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, will call to us, will raise a flag, and we will have the opportunity to answer him. But if our self-interest competes with the interest of Ahlul Bayt, we will say, but who will pay my mortgage? Who will run my business? Who will raise my children? Let someone else go to answer the call of the Imam. The purpose of these majalis, that you sacrifice your peace and comfort. Who on a Sunday morning does not want to be in their house, sitting with their children, enjoying themselves? But the fact that we gather here is a training and preparation to protect us from the regrets of preferring ourselves over preferring the call of the Imam. But it needs to be done consciously. It requires effort and forethought. That if you're not thinking about what the Ahlul Bayt desire versus what I desire today, then tomorrow your natural instincts will be to ask about yourself before you ask about the Imam. This is why Ubaidullah in his story goes through regret in phases. I could have made a better decision. But in the end, what happens? He can't see the greater picture of supporting Ahlul Bayt and attaching himself to Ahlul Bayt. He thinks about only himself. There's someone who knew who the Ahlul Bayt were. Which is why today, the day of Arbaeen, the one who is famous for the support of Ahlul Bayt and going to the Ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt, it's not this Ubaidullah, but is instead Jabir. Jabir is that one who goes to the Ziyarat of Karbala in a condition where he is a blind and old man, that he can't go alone, that he is the one who needs a companion with him, Atiyya al-Jawfi. Atiyya is the one of the authentic narrators of this event, that he says when Jabir intended to go to the grave of Husayn after the hearing of the murder of Abu Abdullah, I am the one who took him because he was blind and could not see anymore. He says that the etiquette of ziyarat was taught by this Jabir, that as they came closer and closer, eventually Jabir stopped by the Furat, took his ghusl, purified himself before entering the company of Ahlul Bayt, changed his clothes, perfumed himself, and proceeded to the grave of Husayn ibn Ali. Today, from the etiquettes of ziyarat, if you go to the ziyarat of any imam, perform ghusl, wear your cleanest and most dignified of clothes, perfume yourself, and then go in the presence of your master. With one exception that the Ahlul Bayt taught us. They said, clean and prepare yourself and go in your best of dress to every imam except Husayn ibn Ali. When you go to Husayn, go to him tired, go to him dusty, go to him hungry, go to him thirsty, because Husayn is that one who was killed alone, a stranger, dusty and tired and hungry. When you go to the grave of Abu Abdullah, stand in discomfort under the sun, face his grave out under the sun, feel the pressure of the heat of the sun on your head. Do not be embarrassed by the discomfort. Be uncomfortable. Why? Because you stand for a minute under the sun. The son of Zahra was left on the sands of Karbala. Atiyya describes, Jabir came. He proceeded towards the grave. As he became closer to the grave, it was as if he could smell the perfume of Husayn, that when he came closer, eventually he became unconscious. I sprinkled water on the face of Jabir.
You mean there was water in Karbala? There was water for Jabir, but not for Husayn. Jabir came to consciousness. He crawled to the grave of Husayn ibn Ali, lay upon the grave of Abu Abdullah, and called out, Husayn, Husayn, oh Husayn, why does the beloved not answer him when his lover calls to him? Jabir's poetry is noted that he says that why does the beloved not answer when the one who loves him calls to him? And then he answers his own question. You don't answer me because they have cut your neck. Atiyah describes Jabir would lay on the grave of Abu Abdullah and weep and cry. Jabir is the one who witnessed with his own eyes this child in the lap of Rasulullah, had witnessed how Rasulullah would hug and kiss and love this Husayn ibn Ali. When we say that Jabir passes out on his way approaching the grave of Abu Abdullah, the most logical element is that this Jabir remembered the scent of Rasulullah. Why would he remember it before he even approaches the grave? It's because the body of Husayn ibn Ali had been trampled in the sand. That the ground of Karbala itself would carry the smell of Husayn ibn Ali. Atiyah says, for some time I let him cry. I let him lay upon this grave until eventually from a distance we saw a troop coming in our direction. A kafilah that was coming this way. We did not know who was coming. I told him, oh Jabir, let us leave this location. Let us hide ourselves in case if the ones who are coming are the army of Umar Sa'ad, of Ubaidullah, coming again to keep us away. They went and they hid to some distance until eventually one from amongst that group approached towards this grave and said, oh Jabir, come, it is I, Ali ibn al-Husayn. I have come to the grave of my father. This exchange between Imam Zainul Abidin and Jabir is very important. One from Tariq, that it explains to us the layout of what happened in Karbala. And two, because you have to remember, my Madloom Imam was not allowed to cry on his father. This was the first time he had someone with him that he could explain to what happened to him and the difficulties of Ahlul Bayt. Imam Sajjad begins, Ha huna. Oh Jabir, come and look. These are the places where my brothers were killed. Jabir, these are the places where our companions were killed. The first one to have the opportunity to console Imam Zainul Abidin. For 34 years my Imam wept after this incident. The first one he cried with was Jabir. There are 5 stations of Imam Hussein that he explained. He says, Jabir, this is where my Baba made our tents. This is where my Baba called out, Ala hal min nasirin yansuruna. Jabir, this is where my father fell from his horse. Jabir, you've seen the grave of my father, but did you see where they killed him like a sheep? Today when you go to Karbala, what they call the Qatalgah, the Maqam of Shahadat, is somewhere. The grave of Husayn ibn Ali is somewhere else. Do you know how he went from one place to another? They trampled his body under horses. The first one to hear this story from the Mu'arrikh of Karbala is Jabir. Imam would walk him from place to place and show him every maqam. He would show him, here is where they put a chest in Ali Akbar's chest. Here is where Qasim's body was trampled. Here is where Asghar flapped like a bird in the arms of my father. Eventually Imam says, oh Jabir, retreat from here. Leave this place. My mothers and my sisters and my aunts have been waiting for this moment. Allow them to come. Jabir says, Atiyah and I left from this place. The women came. Remember something. At the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, in Ramadan, when the time of Shahadat of Imam Ali came, the dignity of his women and his daughters was such that he instructed, "O my son Hassan, the companions have gathered outside of our house. Ask them to leave." Imam Hassan proceeds from his house outside where all the companions were waiting for news on their master. He says, "My father has instructed you all to leave." Every one of the companions left but one. In some narrations is Sa'sa'a, who stayed by the door. Eventually what happens is, after the companions leave, Imam Ali allows for Sayyida Zainab and Kulthum come to visit him. When Sayyida Zainab and Kulthum saw their father for the first time after he had been struck, they saw the blood coming from his head. They began to cry in loud volumes. Upon hearing this cry, Sa'sa'a outside, he too began to cry. Upon hearing his crying, Imam Ali said, "Stop. Hassan, did I not tell you to have the companions leave?" Imam Hassan says, "I did." He says, "I know someone is outside." Imam Hassan proceeds and says, "Sa'sa'a, my father told you to leave." Why? Because the sound of the weeping of his women, should a non-mahram hear it, would be painful for Ali ibn Abi Talib. This Sayyidus Sajideen is the son of Ali. He too instructs the companions, "Leave, let the women come and present and to see these graves and let them cry." Because the same way that no one had given Ali ibn al-Hussain permission to cry, no one had given these women permission to cry. The first time that they come upon the grave of Imam Hussein, the first time that they visit the graves of their beloved, is this day of Arbaeen, and no one is permitted in that environment for the haya and dignity of those women who are paraded through the towns and through the people. When they come upon the grave of their family, there is only Ali ibn al-Hussain, and they ask, "Oh Ali, where is my loved one buried today? Where is my child buried today?" Every mother would ask, "Where are our family members?" But there is Sayyida Zainab who comes upon the grave of her brother. She doesn't need to ask. You would imagine maybe it was the smell of Hussein came to her. Before his shahadat, remember, Sayyida Zainab is the one who says, "Oh Hussein, show me your chest. Let me kiss that chest that will be trampled. Let me smell again the scent of Nabuwwat from your chest." Sayyida Zainab would proceed to the grave of her brother on her own, until eventually she would ask, "Oh Zainul Abidin, where is my Akbar?" Imam Zainul Abidin would say he's at the feet of his father. The women would collect on the body of Akbar. "Oh resemblance of Rasulullah, oh the one who we would look upon, what a condition you have left us in." Every mother would weep for her loved ones, but there are two unique examples. One is that of Sayyida Zainab, who was given the niyaba and responsibility that we would say she has a conversation with Abu Abdullah, not of a crying sister, but that of an emissary returning to her imam. We would say that she would sit by the grave and give a report. "Oh my brother, you left me in charge. I went through all of the difficulties and faced every disgrace. But oh brother, I swear to you, no mal'oon ever saw Zainab cry. I stood with them face to face, my heart in my throat. But not once did my voice break. I broke the temples and the thrones of the oppressors, but I did not cry. I presented before them as one who has the responsibility of imamat. I presented before them as the daughter of Ali. Oh brother, you told me to protect imamat." There are at least three incidences. One on the day of Ashura after the shahadat of Abu Abdullah, when they intended to kill Ali ibn al-Hussain, Sayyida Zainab threw herself on the body of her nephew and insisted, "If you intend to kill my nephew, you will kill me first." The shame of the Arab mal'oon Shimr did not bear to raise his hand on a woman, and so Imam was protected. Then in front of Ubaidullah, the reason the speeches of Sayyida Zainab are well known is because had the Imam been speaking, they would have killed the Imam. Hence the niyabat was given to Sayyida Zainab. But even then Ubaidullah said, kill this one son of Husayn. Again, Sayyida Zainab would say, she stepped forward and insisted, if you intend to kill my nephew, then in front of your entire court, kill me first. Then again in Sham, in front of Yazid, when Yazid, seeing that only one son of Husayn was left, then let me kill him too. It was again the example of Sayyida Zainab that stepped forward to protect Ali ibn al-Hussein. They describe and say that the interest of Sayyida Zainab to protect Imam Zainul Abidin was such that in the court of Yazid, Yazid sat the women behind his throne when he wanted to abuse the head of Husayn ibn Ali. Because it was inappropriate in front of women to perform such an action, so therefore he sat them behind the throne. Until eventually the women sitting behind the throne, they began to say that we heard the sound of someone being struck. Sayyida Zainab says, I went to my niece Fatima, the daughter of Hussein, and I said, oh Fatima, we hear a sound as if someone is being struck. I am the responsible for imamat. I want you to look and see that if they have raised their hand on your brother Ali, that Zainab will come forward to protect him. They describe and say that Fatima bint al-Hussein stood up, looked beyond the throne, and then sat back down crying. Sayyida Zainab says, oh Fatima, what happened? What did you see? She says, mother, I cannot describe to you what I have seen. Sayyida Zainab stands up, sees Mal'un Yazid with a metal stick in his hand, striking upon the lips of the head of Husayn ibn Ali. They describe and say, Mal'un struck the lips of Husayn ibn Ali so hard, he broke the teeth of Imam Hussein. Sayyida Zainab is the reporter. She says, oh Imam, oh my brother. Even in that moment, Zainab did not cry, lest that the oppressor take comfort that he has hurt your women. I fulfilled my obligation. Relieve me of this niyaba now, Husayn ibn Ali. But oh brother, there is one responsibility you gave me. Zainab has come back to you. But forgive me, brother. I could not return your sakina to you. Brother, she would cry and they would strike her. I could not keep her from crying. But I imagine the details of that shahada, she did not have the patience to tell Husayn ibn Ali on his grave. She could not disclose what happened, which is why there is a second place that we imagine she would have turned to and said, oh Sajjad, where is my Abbas? Where do I go to see my brother? You see, she was the naib of Husayn. She had a responsibility, she fulfilled it. But now she wanted to go see that brother that she could open her heart and complain to. Imam Zainul Abidin says, oh aunt, look on the side of Furat. You will find my uncle Abul Fadl. That grave they describe and say, Imam Zainul Abidin on the 13th after Muharram said, 2 graves I will make my own. One is the grave of Abu Abdullah, the other is the grave of his uncle. They describe and say, the Banu Asad said, we saw Ali ibn al-Hussein prepare the grave of Abul Fadl. He entered the grave of Abul Fadl and a long period of time passed, but Ali ibn al-Hussein did not come out. He had instructed us not to disturb him, but when we became scared that maybe this madloom, marid, sick imam, something had happened to him, we looked in the grave. We found Ali ibn al-Hussein hugging the body of his uncle and crying profusely. Oh Ammu, oh uncle, the women in Kufa call for you. I have no answer for them. It is this Abbas now that Sayyida Zainab, I would imagine, proceeds to. But where she gave the report to Imam Hussein of her bravery and her gallantry, now she would cry by Abul Fadl, brother, where were you when I needed you? Brother, how difficult a test I went through. We both fulfilled our oath to Husayn ibn Ali. We fulfilled our oath to the sons of Zahra. But brother, if you would have seen how difficult it was. Here she would describe, brother, Sakina was in such a condition that the women of Sham refused to do her ghusl. Brother, I went to do her ghusl myself, but her condition was such, I would remove her clothes. Her skin would come with it. I had to cry to Sajjad. Sajjad, what do I do? I can't remove her clothes for the ghusl. Sajjad would reply, oh aunt, we will bury Sakina just like this. Oh Abbas, why did you not help me in that condition? Oh Abbas, you were my protector. Where were you when I was in the bazaar of Sham? Where were you when they tried to take the daughter of Husayn and make her a slave for another man? Why did you not come in gallantry and protect the children of Husayn? In this way, we would imagine there were two experiences on that day for the daughter of Ali. One showing her honor and responsibility, one showing the oppression that she suffered at the hands of the Zalim. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ridan biqada'ihi wa tasliman li amrih. Ya Allah, by the right of these tears in our eyes, by the rights of this mention of the mazlumiyat of Aba Abdullah, hasten the reappearance of Sahib al-Zaman, hasten the avenger of Karbala, hasten the one who cries tears of blood over these Masa'ib, hasten the one who is in agony over the remembrance of his forefather Husayn. Give us the tawfiq to be the supporters of our Imam. Give us the tawfiq to follow the path of Ahlul Bayt. Give us the tawfiq to follow the religion of Islam over our desires. And give us the tawfiq to the Ziyarat of Imam Hussein. And entitle us that next year may we stand by the grave of Aba Abdullah and raise our call with the others of Labbaik Ya Hussein. One Surah Fatiha with your loudest of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Matim Hussein.
Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein. Hussein, Hussein.
Overly on this day of Arbaeen, let us say labbaik to the call of Halmin Nasir that our Imam raised on the day of Ashura. Please organize yourself in rows and say labbaik as we go along. Husayn, Husayn. Husayn, Husayn. Husayn, Husayn. Husayn. Can you hear it loud and clear? The call of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Hal min nasir yansurna. Hal min nasir yansurna. On that day of Ashura, from that land of Karbala, hal min nasir yansurna, hal min nasir yansurna. Can you hear it loud and clear? The call of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Hal min nasir yansurna. Hal min nasir yansurna. On that day of Ashura, from that land of Karbala, hal min nasir yansurna. Hal min nasir yansurna. Everyone, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. Battered and surrounded by the likes of Shimro Hurmala, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. Hurt and thirsty yet his cry reaches everyone near and far. Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. Everyone. Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. There is no Qasim, no Akbar, oh no Muhammad Abdullah. There is no Abbas or no Muslim ibn Awsija. Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. We wish we were there to say Labbaik ya ibn Rasulullah. We wish we were there to say, we wish we were there to say Labbaik ya ibn Rasulullah. We wish we could have responded to your call of Ashura. Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. 1400 years it's been, still it feels like yesterday. Your Hal min still resonates in the minds of your Shia. 1400 years it's been, still it feels like yesterday. Your Hal min still resonates in the minds of your Shia. Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. We will be your messengers, we will propagate your name. We will spread the light of justice through the power of your flame. We will be your messengers, we will propagate your name. We will spread the light of justice through the power of your name. But if we want to be this way, if we wish to say Labbaik, we must first begin to see, we must first begin to take every day as Ashura, every land as Karbala. Kullu yawmin Ashura, kullu ardin Karbala. Every day as Ashura, every land as Karbala. Kullu yawmin Ashura, kullu ardin Karbala. Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna, Hal min Nasir yansurna. Hussain, 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 Hussain,
Ya Husayn, Ya Husayn. We will not forget Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn. We will not forget Karbala. We will will not forget you, Husayn. Everyone. We will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
We will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
We will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
From the day that we were born till the day that we will die, we will not forget your ultimate sacrifice. In your name the tears will stream from our eyes. Your name forever will be heard from the sky. This is our promise to you, Fatima. Oh Fatima, we will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
We will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
In the land of Karbala, you were standing all alone, with no family around and so far away from home. No one was by Husayn, but today we have shown till the day that we will die. To your shrine we will crawl. This is our promise to you, Fatima. Oh Fatima, we will not forget
Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn.
We will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
Our master was alone, thirsty in Karbala, as he put his head down for his final sajda. From the skies a voice came, Nafsi mutma'inna, we will cry forever upon this, O Zahra. This is our promise to you, Fatima. Oh Fatima, we will not forget
Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn.
We will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
There will come a day when we will have to make a stand. When Mahdi reappears, we will build the Holy Land. We will pay attention to his every command. We will be by Husayn, mu'mineen, hand in hand. This is our promise to you, Fatima. Oh Fatima, we will not forget
Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn.
We will not forget Karbala.
We will not forget you, Husayn.
Throughout history, there has been no warrior that compares to Abbas, the son of Haydar. Loyalty and courage mean to him forever. Gave his life for the love of his brother. This is our promise to you, Fatima. Oh Fatima, we will not forget Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn. We will not forget Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn. We will not forget Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn. We will not forget Karbala. We will not forget you, Husayn. Ya Husayn. Ya Husayn. Ya Husayn. Ya Husayn.
Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein. Let's raise the flag of Imam 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 Hussein until the existence of time.
until the existence of time, until the sun ceases to shine, until the sun ceases to shine. With all our young, old, and our prime, we will speak out against this crime until everyone knows Hussein. Let's raise the flag of Imam 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 Hussein. We will keep on marching ahead. We will keep on marching ahead. This martyrdom will never be dead. This martyrdom will never be dead. We will proclaim this to the world. This miracle will never end. This morning of Imam Hussein, let's raise the flag of Imam Hussein. 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 The world will come to know Hussein. The world will come to know Hussein. On every heart will be his name. On every heart will be his name. He is the one who bore the pain, seeing his family being slain. They will be crying, Ya Hussein. Let's raise the flag of Imam 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 Hussein. Hussein is the name of Islam. Hussein is the name of Islam. Hussein is the living Quran. Hussein is the living Quran. Hussein is the height of Iman, who showed what is the truth to man. The world is grateful to Hussein. Let's raise the flag of Imam Hussein. Let's raise the flag of Imam Hussein. Let's raise the flag of Imam Hussein. Let's raise the flag of Imam. जब तक है दौरे आसमां, जब तक है दौरे आसमां, सुन ले ये हर पीरो जवां, सुन ले ये हर पीरो जवां, आवाज पर शबीर के बढ़ता रहे ये कारवां, रुकने न पाए ये कदम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। जिंदा ये बेदारी रहे, जिंदा ये बेदारी रहे, ये सिलसिला जारी रहे, ये सिलसिला जारी रहे। हम हो न हो इस बज़्म में कायम आज़ादारी रहे, निकले इसी चौखट पे दम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम, ऊंचा रहे अपना अलम। हुसैन हुसैन Hussein, 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 Hussein. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali.
Assalamu alayka ya Rasulallah. Assalamu alayka ya Ali Amir al-Mu'mineen. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبو الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين وأختك زينب وأم كلثوم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا علي زين العابدين ومحمد بن علي الباقر وجعفر بن محمد الصادق وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا ومحمد بن علي التقي الجواد وعلي بن محمد النقي الهادي والحسن بن علي العسكري والحجات ابن الحسن المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته
اللهم صل على Muhammad. Please get ready for Amaal. We'll be starting Amaal in a few minutes. If you need to do wudu, please do wudu. Next English Majlis will be tonight after Maghrib and Isha Salat. Tonight after Maghrib and Isha Salat, inshallah. The niyaz is outside in the tent for those who would like to get the niyaz from this majlis, inshallah.
बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलवात अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ले अला Muhammad वाले. Whether we had announced that Amaal program for today will start at 12:30. It's 12:30 now. So anybody who wants to come and join us on this side, because every day I'm hearing that there is a lot of spaces here, but people are praying outside. So let's make sure we're using all the space inside first before we go outside. I will let Maulana explain how he wants to do the ziyarat Amaal for today, and then we'll start the Amaal.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. ثانيا غفر الله لكم. اللهم صل على محمد. You're allowed a salawat to hasten the appearance of Sahib al-Zaman. May Allah increase in the reward for commemorating the difficulties of Ali Muhammad. The Amal for today are relatively short and simple. The most important thing is the Ziyarat of the day of Arbaeen. With every Ziyarat that we perform, from amongst the emphasized mustahabbat is the recitation of a 2 rakat salat, the hadiah of which goes to the one whose Ziyarat we are performing. We give it in honor of the one that we have been honored to do their Ziyarat of. Which is why there is only one salat that's done today, which is a 2 rakat salat of ziyarat, and that's what we'll begin with to emphasize that if you have your wudu, and this is something that I recommend, that if you've done Arbaeen, still do wudu as an ihtiyat to ensure that our taharat for salat is complete and correct. So if you haven't done wudu, please do wudu. In addition to the ghusl of Arbaeen. If you haven't done the ghusl today, one of the mustahab actions of this day is to perform a ghusl with the intention I am doing ghusl yawm Arbaeen. The significance and emphasis of these ghusl when we talk about days of ziyarat or days of ibadat is to ensure that we are in a state of purity to approach the ones that we want to seek proximity to. So hence today it is from the recommended actions to perform a ghusl. If you haven't done it yet, try to do it before Maghrib with the intention that the day of Arbaeen, qurbatan ilallah. Amal again are brief. We'll start with a 2 rakat salat of ziyarat, which each of us will recite individually. After that, there are some adhkar that are dhikr that are mustahab to do on this day. The 2 dhikr that we'll perform together is the recitation of tasbihatul arba'a, subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallahu. Excellent, you guys know where we are. 70 times, which we'll recite together out loud, followed by which there is a mustahab action of reciting the kalima la ilaha illallah 40 times on this day. Now, the kalima of la ilaha illallah, to recite it 40 times, the recommendation is before Maghrib to perform this action. We'll do it collectively here, but individually if you have time today, from the recommendations is continuing the dhikr of tasbihat al-arba'a and the recitation of la ilaha 40 times. It is also from the mustahabbat in this day to recite Surah Al-Asr as we get closer after Salat al-Dhuhr, and it's recommended to perform this action. To seek forgiveness for yourselves and your marhumeen, to recite ziyarat on your behalf and behalf of all of your marhumeen, and which is why after we finish the salat, the 70 times, the 40 times, we'll recite Ziyarat of Arbaeen together. Now there's something interesting about the recitation of ziyarat. We have a couple minutes, I can explain this to you. According to Sayyid Sistani, to receive the thawab of reciting ziyarat, it's not enough to listen to it, but that you recite it. Now, there is a solution to this, that the one who is doing the recitation on your behalf makes the niyaba and the niyyah to include everybody in that ziyarah as they recite it, which is what we'll do together. But along with that, more than just listening, find yourself a place where you can see the screen, and as the ziyarat is coming up on the screen, you try to recite along with me, and I'll try to recite slowly when we get to the ziyarah. So these are the 4 or 5 a'mal that we have to do. It won't take too long. We'll try to do it collectively all together. The first thing we're going to do is the 2 rakat salat of ziyarah. Our intention will be, I am reciting 2 rakat salat, ziyarat Arbaeen, qurbatan ilallah. This salat is recited furada, meaning each person has to recite it individually. So there's no jamaat in this. If you want to space out, in all of these a'mal today, there's no jama'ah. So if you want to space out, if there's space for you to find some space in this area, it's perfectly fine. We don't have to be shoulder to shoulder, but if you are, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe the barakat of the person praying next to you will pass off to you as well too. All right? So these few amal we have to do. Inshallah, we'll begin with the recitation of 2 rakat salat, qurbatan ilallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. इसको मैं ऊंची आवाज़ में 2 रकात की नहीं पढ़ूंगा, हर कोई मुस्लिम फ़र्ज़ पढ़ देना, ठीक है उसके बाद صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. The second of the Amaal that we intend to perform today is the recitation of Tasbihat al-Arba'a 70 times, which is Subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar, a total of 70 times. We make the intention that we are reciting this on our behalf, on behalf of our family members, our marhumin, and all of the mu'mineen. And please join me that inshallah we raise our voices together in this recitation, all together. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. 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 Subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar.
سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر Subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. 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 Subhanallahi walhamdulillahi wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar.
Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Salli ala. A lot of brothers are waiting outside, and if you don't need to look at the screen, you're reciting ziyarat from screen, from your own cell phone, like Sheikh would be doing. Please move into the first row so that others can join in. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat.
The next of the a'mal for today that we'll be reciting is the recitation of La ilaha illallah 40 times. One of the most important fundamentals of this La ilaha illallah as we recite it is to remember that this La ilaha illallah is what our Imam was shaheed for. That this is the entire function of our faith, and the purpose of our creation has come to the conclusion that La ilaha illallah, that there is no God except for the one true Allah, the one true creator of everything, and that He who created us, it is our purpose to join Him and to return to Him and to acknowledge Him, and that our entire purpose of our life is to be in service of this La ilaha illallah, and that we are the proof that there is no other God except for Allah, and that through us may the establishment of La ilaha illallah remain on this earth. So 40 times inshallah with the loudest of our voices we'll repeat this dhikr of La ilaha illallah, and we make the intention that we are reciting this dhikr on our behalf, on behalf of our family members, our marhumeen, the mu'mineen who are in need of dua, and all those who follow the true path of La ilaha illallah. Qurbatan ilallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah. 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 La ilaha illallah.
لا إله إلا الله 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 اللهم صل على محمد صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. These adhkar that we've recited are from the mustahabbat of today, and in general it's mustahabbat to repeat the dhikr of Allah and to remember Allah in any state of difficulty that we have. That instead of, for example, innocuous phrases that mean nothing come to our mouth, that it's the phrases of La ilaha illallah, the remembrance of Allah, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, are the phrases that we remember. I'll share something interesting. Are you guys okay? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Why 70 times? Why 40 times? Sometimes it happens that when we see these numbers and we hear these mention of these numbers in these a'mal of 70, 40, 30, so sometimes we think that, oh, it's just a general number, that as many as I can do, I can do. Maybe true. But some of our ulama point to a reality, and what they indicate to us and they teach us is that consider these adhkar and the numbers that are mentioned with them the equivalent of a treasure map. When you look at a map for treasure, you have to go exactly the right number of steps and distances to hit that treasure and to hit that desired item that you want to achieve. So when we see, for example, the Ahlul Bayt specifying a number of dhikr, when we see, for example, the tasbih that we perform, tasbih of Sayyida Zahra that we perform after prayers, that goes 34 times Allahu Akbar, 33 times Alhamdulillah, 33 times Subhanallah, that consider this as if it's a treasure map, that these numbers have something special associated with them. And that's when I complete exactly this formula and I perfect the formula, then when I raise my hands in dua, I have unlocked the door and now it is time for me to ask Allah what I desire. So taking advantage of these opportunities, when we see these adhkar and we see these reminders that are mentioned to us in these numbers, take the opportunity to appreciate them and be specific about them. Benefit from that lesson and teaching, such that even if it was that it wasn't a key, there is something minimum that I've achieved that Allah had asked me for, I have been present where He commanded me to. This is something we can take advantage of, and whenever we see these dhikrs that mention a specific number, try to at least perform that number, that if there is a benefit attached to it, I have reached that measure. When it comes to the tasbih of Sayyida Fatima Zahra, salamullahi alayha, our sixth Imam would explain, and he would say that when you have prayed your salat, you have found your way to the door of talabul hajat, the door from which you can ask for Allah your desires. When you recite this tasbih, imagine that you have now unlocked the door, and the only thing that remains between you and Allah is the need for the believer to ask Allah and for Him to provide for us. Which is why the Imam would insist and say that we teach our children to recite tasbih the way you teach your children to learn to pray. That this is that important of a tool that we possess within our power. The next and final of the a'mal of today, that is the official a'mal that we'll perform collectively, is the recitation of the Ziyarat of Arbaeen. After this ziyarah, for the rest of the day, if you have time, use a tasbih, do dhikr of Allah, remember Allah, and remember that this is a time of asking from Allah. And ask for yourselves, ask for your family, ask for your community, ask for the Imam, and ask for your akhirah before you ask for your dunya. So inshallah, let's stand up together. We can stand up. The screens will play it. If you have it on your phone, you can open the Ziyarat of Arbaeen, and inshallah we'll recite the ziyarah all together. I'll try to recite slowly, that you are welcome to recite with me as we recite the ziyarah. Before we begin, we make our intention. We are reciting this ziyarah on our behalf, on behalf of all of the mu'mineen present, all of those who are not present with us, our marhumeen and family members who have passed before us in love of Ahlul Bayt. We are reciting the ziyarah for all of our marhumeen, all of the mu'mineen who are in need of dua, and all those who have no one to recite dua for them, and no one to recite ziyarat for them. Qurbatan ilallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام على ولي الله وحبيبه السلام على خليل الله ونجيبه السلام على سفي الله وابن سفيه السلام على الحسين المظلوم الشهيد السلام على أسير الكربات السلام على وقتيل العبرات اللهم إني أشهد أنه وليك وابن وليك وسفيك وابن سفيك الفائز بكرامتك أكرمته بالشهادة وهبوته بالسعادة واجتبيته بالطيب الولادة وجعلته سيدا من السادة وقائدا من القادة وضائدا من الضادة وأعطيته مواريث الأنبياء وجعلته حجة على خلقك من الأوصياء فأظهر في الدعاء ومنح النصح وبذل مهجته فيك ليستنقذ عبادك من الجهالة وحيرة الضلالة وقد توازر عليه من غرته الدنيا وباع حظه بالأرض للأدنى وشرى آخرته بالثمن الأوكس وتغطى وسخة نبيك وطاع من عبادك أهل الشقاق والنفاق وحملت الأوزار المستوجبين النار فجاهدهم فيك صابرا محتسبا حتى سفك في طاعتك الدم واستبيح حريمه اللهم فلعنهم لعنا وبيلا وعذبهم عذابا أليما السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الأوصياء أشهد أنك أمين الله وابن أمينه عشت سعيدا ومضيت حميدا ومت فقيدا مظلوما شهيدا واشهد أن الله منجز ما وعدك ومهلك من خذلك ومعذب من قتلك واشهد أنك وفيت بعهد الله وجاهدت في سبيله حتى أتاك اليقين فلعن الله من قتلك ولعن الله من ظلمك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. اللهم إني أشهدك إني ولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداه بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله. أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأسلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك المدلهمات من ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المسلمين ومعقل المؤمنين. واشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. واشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والأروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بالشرايع الديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع ونصرتي لكم معدة حتى يأذن الله لكم. فمعكم لا مع عدوكم. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وأجسادكم وشاهدكم وغائبكم وظاهركم وباطنكم. آمين رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Before we complete, one Surah Fatiha, 3 times Surah Ikhlas, لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. Again with your loudest of salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد. Inshallah, as we finish, let's remember the Imam of our time with the recitation of Dua Faraj all together. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma kun liwaliyyika al-hujjati al-hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala
Okay, brothers, 4 minutes are left. If you need to make wudu or do anything, Amaal is completed and we're going to start Adhan for Zuhr at 1:09, inshallah. What's the time? Give him a break, it's okay.